Thank you very much, Olga. And now it's time to hear Marko Marinkovic, key expert, as Svetlana mentioned before.
Thanks. Thank you for the chance to participate today and share some experience that we have after great presentations from the colleagues from the Adrian team, from Svetlana and Olga. So I will just, let's say, in order to start or continue the previous discussion, show or let's say answer on the question asked in the previous discussion. Let's say, what can we expect from the buildings that Svetlana showed and what we saw in Croatia, and let's say some examples that can be compared with the schools in Serbia. So it's a combination of the project that we had in Serbia and collecting the information about the schools and doing the seismic assessment. So this is first a school that we saw in Petrinja in Croatia. It is, let's say, similar shape, so U-shaped building, this first primary school in Petrinja. And it has the floors with the jack arch, or as we say, Pruski swod. So with these steel profiles and the brick arc in between. And as Svetlana showed, so it is more or less from the same period of the examples that we have in Serbia. And this is what we saw inside. So this is what can be expected, or what can happen if the earthquake would appear in Serbia as well. So mostly we saw the damage of the load-bearing walls, some diagonal cracks, but dominant damage, I think, can be seen the best in this example. So there was a pre-shock on 28th of December, and let's say the main shock on 29th of December 2020 in Petrinja, and you can see the same school building from the inside. So not significant damage appeared on 28th, but on 29th a lot of damage was seen inside, especially at this connection of the load-bearing walls and such a floor system as jack arch. Also from the outside, the effects could be visible as, okay, collapse of the roof, but also out of plane failure of the gable walls and several cracks and damage in the facade walls. So you can see it here on the other side. Also the parts of the roof collapsed and a lot of facade elements failed and damaged and failed. They fell to the street. So in that way, not just the school or the building was damaged, also, let's say, the people around or evacuation routes can be jeopardized. Next to it, so I will come back. So this high school next to the primary school, so more or less a similar shape, but built in 1860s, so in the middle of the 19th century. Again, non-reinforced masonry school. Again, jack arch floors and significant damage of the facade walls. It was not possible at that moment to enter inside because the damage inside was excessive. So really a lot of load-bearing walls and partition walls were damaged. So the building was tagged red and it was not possible to enter inside. But we could see, let's say, really the best example of comparison of the example that was shown in the previous presentations and, let's say, what we saw in Croatia. And this is also the figures that present the building before the earthquake and after the earthquake. So diagonal cracks really crossing, as we heard, inside also the buildings. That means through the whole thickness of the wall, and causing significant damage of load carrying structure elements. And then we come back to Serbia and show just a couple of examples beside the one presented in the previous slides. So high school in Valjevo, also one part in one town in Serbia. It was built in a almost same year, in the same period, the same system, unreinforced masonry, and yeah, hopefully we will not have such strong earthquakes, but yeah, it's a question, should we do something to be more prepared for the earthquake and to protect such valuable buildings. Also, in other place, a school called Milisav Nikolic, so primary school, again, jack arc system that was often used in that period. And yeah, you can see it from the figures before here. So I can imagine if this kind of earthquake would appear, the same damage on the figure here, connection on the walls and the floors. So this was just shortly, let's say, not so strictly planned to give this presentation, but we consider it good, and I prepared it in the break in order to answer on some question that was placed in the previous discussion, and maybe to start the discussion now after the presentation from Olga.
Thank you, Marko.